What's up, people? It's a New Breed Podcast, the world's best podcast. Talk about everything new metal from two guys who were really there. One half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how's it going?
Great. Feeling great.
This week, we dusted off we found this guy. We brought him back on the show. It's been a minute. Star guest of our most watched episode on YouTube. We have the host of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace, author, a budding author, madman extraordinaire, Mr. Jimmy Ferrari. Jimmy, thanks for coming back on.
Well, that was a fucking introduction, huh?
We do it well. We do
Yeah.
He really knows how to hit them introductions.
Yeah, you did. That was just like you hit a button on your neck. It's happening.
Well. To click, just hit the button, go.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, Jimmy? What have you been up to?
Well, a lot of it's the same old bullshit, whatever, everyone's life, I work, obviously. That shit's never changed. I have no chaos in my life, thank God, which is a beautiful thing. First time in a very, very, very long time that I have no chaos in my life or no headaches.
Can we say 99 problems but a bitch ain't one?
Goddamn fucking right we can all day. I was doing, I don't know if anyone who's watching this is friends with me on Facebook or follows whatever. But I do a lot of like this location scouting shit, this whole Delta Bravo urban exploration team thing. Danny Boy from House of Pain started it, and this whole big thing. Over the last couple of years, I went on crazy road trips, like finding, and I found myself in some really fucking crazy places that I never thought I would ever be, like doing this kind of stuff, whether it's historical shit or movie related or just serial killer true crime stuff. Went on a crazy road trip 2 summers ago. I flew one way from New York all the way down to Austin, Texas. I rented a truck, and I drove like 3,000 miles in like 8 days.
God damn.
Jesus.
Yeah, all over Texas, like 30 different spots in Texas, up to Oklahoma, then across through like Tennessee, Arkansas, or I basically drove my ass all the way back to Brooklyn. Been to crazy places, like real quick, and I won't be too long-winded over it, but I found myself, I knew that the place was closed on Sundays and Mondays, but the timing, I had to go there on a Monday, and I knew they were closed. But a friend of mine was there a couple of months before and gave me a name to drop in order to possibly get onto this property. So it's Monday, it's like 7:30 in the morning. I'm in the middle of Texas. It's like 100 degrees out already. So I'll get to obviously the place where I'm at in a minute, try to paint the picture here. And so we drive up, and there's a 5-foot stone wall. And on the gate, it even says, once you enter blah, 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 this property, we are not responsible for you, your vehicle, your children, your pets, your well-being, nothing. So I'm like, well, that's pretty fucking upfront, All right. But I'm like, there's no way I'm going to fucking trespass and try to hop the gate or anything, but I'll literally walk the line. And so I stood up on top of the wall. So I'm not over it. And I look all the way in the distance, and there's like this little fucking structure, and it's a little church. And next to the church, there's a red vehicle. I can't make out what it is because I'm that far away. I know it's some sort of an SUV or maybe some sort of Astro van or something. So I'm like, somebody is fucking on this property. So my big Brooklyn mouth is going to come in handy right now. So I step up on top of the wall, and I just start screaming, hello, across this thing. Now you can hear a cricket from fucking 100 miles away. So no one's coming. I'm like, fuck, man. So I see a guy walking, and I scream once I see him, and he walks into the church. I'm like, maybe something is happening with the sound. He's not hearing me. I don't know. But he gets out, and he gets into the car. I guess he went inside to get his keys to the car. Next thing you know, I see this guy coming down this long fucking dirt road. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but someone is on their way. And I was a little nervous. I was a little fucking nervous.
Are you by yourself, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't. I was with my ex-girlfriend. So comes out, and he's with a kid. He's with like a 10-year-old, 12-year-old boy. I go in, I shake his hand through the thing. I try to be super polite and casual, non-threatening or anything. I'm like, how are you? I was like, I know that you're closed. I didn't want to trespass, but my friend Kevin was here a few months ago and said, if I mention Charles Pace, if I can come onto the property. I was like, I don't have his contact number. I was wondering if he was here. He's like, yeah, he's here. He's like, you know what? Give me a couple of minutes and I'll see if you're allowed to come on the property. He comes back 10 minutes later. He's like, I asked him and his wife and you can come on the property. I'm like, all right, cool. I get nervous a little bit. So I'm like, you want me to jump in your car or should we follow? He's like, no, just follow me. So we're driving up and now I'm picturing in my head what had happened at this place. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. So we walk into this little makeshift rebuilt church and I'm talking with this guy. Next thing you know, no joke, it was like a fucking horror movie. One of the doors opens and here comes Charles Pace. Charles Pace is in a wheelchair with blind in one eye and has one leg. It's like, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Texas. This is some weird fucking shit. It's like 7:30 in the morning. Like, am I fucking here right now? So he's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So as I'm talking to this guy, I'm hearing him, but I'm not listening to him because in the back of my head, I'm like, how the fuck am I standing in this rebuilt makeshift little church on the original concrete slab
Waco, right?
of the Branch Davidian compound?
Wow.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And this guy, he had no idea. Like, I didn't bring podcast stuff or anything. He's like, do you have a podcast or a radio show? The guy in the wheelchair. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not here to do that. He's like, oh, because if you did, like, I'll go on it. Like, I could talk. I'll talk to you about. Like, this guy wanted to talk so much about what quote unquote really happened there and shit. Crazy shit, dude. There's a pool in the back, and he was like, do you see that ring? There's like a black ring that's in the concrete. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, we tried to get, power wash it and stuff like that. It's embedded. He's like, you know what that is? I'm like, no. He's like, that's ash from the fucking inferno and shit,
Yeah,
bro.
from the fire.
Crazy. But that's just one of the I was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house. I slept at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station. They have fucking cabins in the back. Like, I've been doing a lot of shit lately. Not necessarily podcast stuff, but I've been all over the place. I have trips planned for next summer and 2 summers from now. So I love doing that shit. Get the fuck out of here and just fly somewhere far and then drive my ass back home. Like, it's cool. So all of that stuff I've been doing, obviously working. It's very rare though. I do a Delta Bravo mission. It's called Mission Statements. It is a podcast that we talk about the shit that I just spoke about. It doesn't happen very often. Every once in a while, we'll switch guests and shit. I've done most of them, but another guy, Andrew, has done a bunch. And I decided to bring back the Brooklyn Blast Furnace after almost 2 years. Tim is the first one that goes, I fucking knew it. Right. But
we did have a betting line as to how long it would take for you to bring it back.
But in all honesty, man, when I did that final episode, like in that moment, I was dead serious about really killing it. Like that whole episode, like the song in the beginning and the end and what we spoke about, everything was literally saying goodbye, But yeah, it's almost 2 years. And the reason why is, first of all, I kind of missed it. And then second is I figured it's also a good outlet for my newest fucking thing because I don't have enough on my fucking plate, Episodes 49 and 51 of the Brooklyn Blast Furnace, I did the whole Jimmy Ferrari Life and Times episodes. And from the feedback that I got from that, especially when I first put them out, people were like, dude, that should be a fucking book. That should be a movie, blah, 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 blah. And that kind of like, I appreciated all the compliments and like you enjoyed it and all, like, that's awesome. So I took those compliments, but on the other hand, it felt kind of weird. It's like, I like, that's cool. Like, it's just weird to hear that. I don't know. But cool, thank you. I appreciate it. Glad you liked it. Next episode, And then I kind of forgot about it. It was somewhere in the back of my head all the time, though, but not really in the forefront. And no joke, man, like, for no apparent reason, I wish I had there was like a catalyst, I wish, but there was no reason whatsoever. But about 8 months ago, I woke up and one of my first thoughts was, I think I'm going to write a book. And that just sounds, even I've said that so many times, like talking to people about this. And even as I say that, it just sounds stupid to me because coming from somebody who used to ask my sister to do my book reports in elementary school, you know what I mean? Like an author doesn't even make fucking sense. It makes no sense, you know? So what happened is, I think on my personal page, I wrote something about, I think I'm going to write a book. And my friend Dominic calls me up, and I only know him from doing this whole urban exploration stuff. He called me up and he's like, "You're going to write a book?" And I'm like, I guess it's a thought, you know? So he's like, "All right, I'll put you in touch with my father-in-law." I'm like, "All right, who's your father-in-law?" And his name is Patrick Labruto. I'm like, I never heard of the guy. Why would I? But long story short, Patrick Labruto, his entire career, he is a well respected and a very established, successful editor who edited The Stand from Stephen King.
Oh, no shit.
He edited Pet Sematary. He edited about a dozen Dean Koontz books. He's worked with ridiculous people. Like he gets Christmas cards from Stephen King every year. Like he knows his daughter. So I'm like, that's a very weird transition of how that happened. I put this little post. Dominic calls me. Dominic's father-in-law is this guy. Had no idea. So
that's the way the world works, man.
Yeah, it's very fucking strange, dude. So he puts me in touch with him. I'm on the phone with him on my lunch break at work one day. And he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He's friends with my son-in-law, blah, 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 blah. He's like, "Well, why don't you tell me in about 10,000 words what you're going to do?" I'm like, "Right now? Like 10,000 words? I feel like I'm in school." Like, he's like, "No." He's like, "Don't think too much about it. Just tell me what your book is going to be. I just want to know what you're doing." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Well, here you go." And, I didn't shut the fuck up for like a half hour. And I just went and went and went and went. And when I was done, I was like, well, that's about it, plus about 500 other stories, and that's really not in detail. I'm probably forgetting some stuff, but those are like the big moments, I guess. Give or take 2 or 3, And then there was a pause, and I thought the call dropped. I'm like, hello? I'm like, hello? I'm like, how long was I talking into an empty phone, I'm thinking? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm here. I'm like, all right, did you get all that? He's like, yeah. He's like, I have one question for you. I'm like, all right. I just basically told you my whole life. I'll answer anything you want to know. So he's like, how are you not in a mental institution or shooting heroin right now? Exactly what he said to me. And I went, don't know. I'm on my lunch break at work, dude. I never claimed to be normal, but I'm not in a loony bin. Maybe I should be. I don't know. So
I kind of feel like that's a compliment to the story, though, in in like a way.
Yeah,
where
no, 100%.
You went stream of consciousness off the top of your head, and he was like, "This guy should be in Bellevue or dead," right?
Right. So I didn't take it like he's a funny guy. I think he took a liking to me because he was originally from Brooklyn. He lives in Maryland now. But so right there, he's like, he hears the typical stereotypical fucking Brooklyn accent, like a fucking idiot. So he automatically did that. Plus, I'm friends with his son-in-law. So a couple of things goes on, and we really don't talk about anything business related or anything. And I made the little group on Facebook. We'll get to that. And then I was posting stuff, and then because I went on this whole nostalgia family thing, and like real quick, it's like my mother and my biological father, they got divorced when I was like 10. So, but then once my mother remarried my jerk off stepfather, it's like, and I can't really blame my mother, but it is what it is. From that point on, my mother was always like, that past is the past. We don't talk about that. This is our life going forward. So me being young at that time, and then as I'm getting older, I start partying and doing drugs. And so it's kind of like no one ever talks about shit. So once I started getting into this book, like I need to know shit for it to be accurate. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I have a whole bunch of cousins and shit. We don't really talk very much. Like I really don't have like close family. Like my mother's gone, my father, who the fuck know? Like it's all fucked up. So I went through this ancestry thing, and I found out, guys, I found out more about my life and my lineage, and I'm not even talking about great-great-great-grandfather. I don't give a fuck about the fifth grandfather over there. I can give two shits. Who is that guy? It means nothing to me. But even from like my grandparents, my mother, like I've learned more over the past 8 months about myself and my family than I've known my entire life.
It's kind of wild.
Like my fucking whole life, dude. I've been going through these crazy wormholes. I wound up reuniting with my Aunt Susan. I didn't see her for 40 years. I reunited with her. Last time I saw her, I was 8 years old. And she was super close to my mother. Now, the whole story of how my mother and my stepfather got together, my mother told me a completely bullshit story. Completely bullshit story. So after, like this is like 8 months ago, I found this out. My whole life, since I'm 10, I'm thinking things went a different way, but it's just not. So then I'm going through all these crazy things, and then I wind up getting the Ancestry DNA kit, and I spit in a fucking tube, and I mail it out. Yo, man, I don't know if you guys seen on the group or anything like that, but I posted it, and this is what Pat LaBruto called me for, and he was like, I need to propose something to you. I'm like, what's up? He's like, I want you to work with me. And I went, talk to me. Like, okay, no problem. I have like I have like a book editor guy. It's weird. So, bro, I got my DNA results back. Bro, everything in my whole life has been a bullshit lie, bro.
Wow.
Everything. My whole life, I was told that I am Irish, Italian, and Welsh from Wales. Okay. Basically English, the little island, the balls of England.
Right.
All right. I'm Irish, Italian, but I grew up in Brooklyn, this whole thing. So that's why I feel, whatever. Bro, you ready for this? I put it up on the group, so it's not like a shocker. Maybe you guys didn't see. You know that I have not one fucking drop of Italian in me?
Wow, really?
Not even 1%. I don't have not even 1% of Irish. Bro, I am like a fucking Viking William Wallace. I have like Scottish, English, and like Norway. I am so hated. I am a fucking working Caucasian heterosexual male.
Yeah, it's hilarious, actually.
Bro,
that is wild. It's wild.
Where's the last name coming from then?
Bro, that's a whole other fucking thing. Because my mother's, see, there was no reason for me to believe otherwise than what I was told.
Yeah,
because back then there was the Howards. Now Howard is very English. There's super deep roots. Bro, I'm like related somehow way down the path. What's this fucking broad's name? I want to say Amber Lynn, the porn star, but it's not Amber Lynn.
It's definitely not Amber Lynn.
No.
Anne Boleyn?
Anne Boleyn, yeah. Is somehow, but you know what? You want to hear something funny? I'm not even fucking kidding. You know who gave me COVID? Amber Lynn.
What, at a show? At
a convention. Amber Lynn gave me COVID.
So how much of a shock is that to you when you found that out, though? Because your whole life you're like, yeah, I'm a fucking, you know what, and
right.
We can't say that word.
I'm a Goomba. From New York. I'm a greaseball. I'm a Mick. I'm a fucking knucklehead. I'll always be a knucklehead, but I got the results. Like, oh, your results are in after when they because you'll get like the timeline. We received your spit. We're going through blah blah blah. And then it was like, okay, it should be like any day now. And then I got the alert that my fucking DNA results were in. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome. I look, bro. I thought I had someone else's fucking results, man. I'm like, what? Like the top one is like Scottish.
So Scottish, Welsh, and Viking? So like Norway?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
so that's you were coming over from the conquerors.
Finland.
Yeah,
Finland, Scottish, all sorts of fucking parts of England, and there is Welsh. So there is some Welsh in me. That wasn't bullshit.
Yeah, so it's the conquerors. It's the ones who came over. They landed on the island. They went north. I mean, and then there you go.
Yeah.
I need to do this.
And then somehow or another, my mother and my father's father and all my grandparents, they wound up in the South. Like, I'm like part of like the South Carolina border settlers and all kinds of weird
Borderers,
like hillbilly shit, bro. Like the Santee River Settle, Sante. Never heard of it. Last summer, I went on a road trip. All of a sudden, I'm seeing a sign for the Santee River. I'm like, it's my fucking river. Like, I'm like, never heard of this thing before. But yeah, man, fucking crazy. So I decided to write this book. So Pat was like, yo, how much do you have written? I was like, nothing. He's like, listen, start writing. He's like, don't worry about. He's like, just try to be chronological. Don't really worry about breaking it up into chapters and stuff. He's like, that's my job. He's like, just write. He's like, if you could break it into paragraphs, yeah, just not long. I was like, I know. I'm not
one long run on sentence.
One long run on sentence, right?
Jimmy Jack Kerouac Ferrari over here, right?
Exactly.
No fucking punctuation. Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you something first, though.
Talk.
This is just coming from me because I edit your podcast, and I know sometimes people forget. You're backing this up like 13 times, right?
What do you mean?
Like you're backing the book up like on a different drive, so in case your computer crashes.
Yeah. All right, no, 100%. I have 2 different flash drives. I have
Get 2 more, believe me.
Okay.
Get fucking 6 more. I'm telling you, dude.
Yeah. Well, Jay had just asked me before. Hope I don't fuck you up. If I minimize, I can't minimize it, right? Can I minimize it? But
we still see you.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, do you remember how many pages I was in?
Oh my god, it was like 400 something pages.
No, I am 500. I'm 576 pages in. And I am currently. I'm cutting the book. I'm starting off a little tiny bit, a couple of pages about my grandparents, a few pages about my parents, and then I come into the picture. And my sister comes into the picture first, and then me. But all of that is maybe 10 pages. You know what I mean? I don't go too crazy. But I'm cutting the book off, for all intents and purposes, the end of 2014. Because I got sober October 1st, 2014, a little over 9 years ago. So I figure, because after that, there's really not too much chaos. You know what I mean? It's just, I go to work. It's every day.
There's no drama to add to the book. The craziness is everything leading up to you getting clean. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, but for 14 of the last 17 years, I've been sober. I got sober April Fool's Day 2004. And then I was sober until about beginning of 2009. And then a whole bunch, I started drinking a little bit. And then as I was drinking a little bit, a whole bunch of fucking shit went down. And then I went off the fucking deep end bad for like 3.5 years. And then I got sober October 1st, 2014. So I'm cutting it off there. Right now, I am currently, me and my girlfriend, who is now my ex-wife, who I'm super fucking cool with, the mother of my daughter. We're awesome friends, and she's getting remarried and shit. I don't even care. It's cool. There's no drama like that. Everything is cool. Me and her right now are about to drive from Jersey to move down to Miami, and that was in February of 2007. So I have a little over 7 more years to write about. I wrote 30-something years already. I have about 7 more to write about. Wow. But the next couple of years isn't really chaotic because I'm with my girl and I'm sober, and we moved from Miami to North Carolina, then back to New York, then back to Jersey. Then my daughter is born. And then a little bit after my daughter's born, that's when shit gets bad. And then it gets really, really, really fucking dark for those 3 years. And then it's basically, I wanted to end like all of this shit up and down, a lot of lows, a lot of shit that I created on my own, some not. And then to be able to get out like on a positive light when I got sober.
Do you find it cathartic to write it, Jimmy?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. It's odd. I can't put my finger on it. There's certain times where I'll feel like a psycho because I'll be sitting right here and I'll be writing about like a time when getting high and drinking and shit was crazy fun, like when I was 19 years old and all my knucklehead friends there and some bullshit craziness happened and this guy's acting like, and I'll be typing like crazy. I'll be laughing out loud in my empty apartment, but just like loving it because sometimes, and I have no business whatsoever having the memory that I have. It doesn't even make sense. It really doesn't. Everyone is like, dude, how the fuck do you remember? I was like, I don't know. I'm like, how do you not remember that? Like, I remember everything, dude. And I mean, there's a couple of nights where they're gone forever. Right. But for the most part, like 90% of shit, I remember vividly.
That's because you got sober and now you have a clear mind. So you're, you go back into what's that thing called, Jay? You're smart.
Your Rolodex.
Yeah, like basically, like there's a part
every time
of your brain.
Every time you recall the memory, you reburn it into the neurons. So that's why when you forget things, it's because you haven't thought about it in a while. But if to your point, if Jimmy's sober and he's cycling through it, and I'm sure the book is helping too, right? It's forcing you to lay it out chronologically. You're gonna remember weird shit because you're talking through the scenarios.
Yeah, and what also there was a certain time where from like 92 to like 95, there was so much going on. Whether I'm not even talking about just party life, but like I had a group of friends in Brooklyn and I had a group of friends in Howard Beach. And I was living in Howard Beach for a while, but I'm hanging out in Brooklyn. My sister lived in Brooklyn. There's stuff going on with the fucking feds and my stepfather. There's turmoil in the house. There was so many moving parts that it took a while to write that 3-year period because there was just so much for me to write it legibly so that somebody could read it and understand what the fuck is happening. You know what I mean?
I'm assuming you're writing this plot line and you're going, wait, I forgot about that.
Right, but it has nothing really to do with these groups of people, but this is also happening. So that part was like a little rough, but there's a lot of funny, ridiculous parts in there that I enjoyed writing about. But I was always the asshole in the early and mid 90s with a disposable camera. I always had a fucking disposable camera. And everybody would be like, what the fuck do you have a camera for? Why are you taking random pictures in the bar? What do you do? I was like, I don't know. I really didn't know why. But now those same people that I still have contact with are still my friends. Like, yo, let me see those pictures. You're always the picture guy. Yep. So now I always have all my ticket stubs too from all the shows. Not everyone, but a lot of ticket stubs and flyers and shit. So it's like, okay, I'll remember going to see, I don't know, Leeway at the Marquee. I'm like, but I think that was 92. So I go into my photo albums and I look for I'm like, okay, that's March, blah, 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 1992. But then and I see the picture that I have, and this was after that show, and I'm wearing like, I don't know, like a Yankee hat and a fucking a black T-shirt, or a Yankee T-shirt and a Miami Hurricanes hat, or whatever. And then there'll be another thing that I remember, but I can't really place it. But then I'll know that was taken with this picture, and I had the same shirt on. So I'm like, okay, so this fucking show and this fucking brawl that happened were very close to each other within maybe a month or so. So I'm able to kind of piece things together as accurately as possible. But then there's sometimes where when you talk about being cathartic, I'll be, because sometimes you have to put yourself exactly right in that place where you were.
Yeah.
Like, so like, I'm not in this room anymore. I'm in Harlem in 1993 on a Saturday night in a burnt out building, going to fucking cop a fucking bundle of angel dust, the only white boy for miles, and I take the train there. So it's like, so I'm walking across the street from Caddy. I get off the train and I'm walking, and it's desolate. There's burnt out buildings still at that time. And I'm walking Caddy corner across the street, and there's a cop car that passes by. And are they going to stop me? I'm the only, why am I in this neighborhood? They don't. Next thing you know, I go into the fucking door, and then there's no elevator and there's no electricity in there, but I still have to walk up 4 fucking flights of stairs, you know? And I have to go to the end hallway. It's the red doorway. I have to knock 4 times, not 3, not 5. And then there's a code word. I don't even know if there was a person, but I had to ask for Crybaby. Never know if there was a real Crybaby, but hey, I'm here to see Crybaby. What do you need? A voice from behind the fucking door. Give me a bundle. I throw the money underneath. All of a sudden, from the top little hatch, a bundle of dust comes down. Okay, now I have to turn around. I have to walk back. There's people coming in and out of that fucking place. If they can kill me and fucking, I can disappear. There's no cameras. There's no nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm in this place, and I remember what it looked like. It was dark. I remember the fucking tile floors. I remember that there was a step that was very creaky on the way up that I had to be careful when I went back down. Like, all of this stuff, I'm right there. So it's just like, fuck. Some of it's like a little draining now with being 48 years old. Like, how the fuck did I do that? Why would I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jimmy. Why the fuck were you going to Harlem to score Angel Dust? And more
because they had the good dust.
How much did that cost you?
A bundle of dust? A bundle of dust was technically $100, but you would get, if you bought a bundle, you get it for 80.
How much? What was the weight of that? Like, how much was it?
I don't know. It was 10 dime bags.
God damn.
It was 10 dime bags, but the Crazy Eddie Angel Dust, if you wanted to sell it, you could split it in half, and you could sell half of it for a dime.
Crazy Eddie Angel Dust.
Yes, 116th and Lenox Boulevard, Lenox Avenue, which is also now Martin Luther King Boulevard, so you know where I was. 116th. It was next to the bicycle store, but you had to go in, and you had to go into the bodega. It was like a rule. Like, this guy told this girl Laura that I was seeing. She was like my sister's best friend. She was a huge dust muffin. She used to smoke all the time, and she was not. She was blonde hair, blue eyes. She looked like Claudia Schiffer, the old school supermodel. She was hot as balls, smoke piece. But she's fucking walking around in Harlem buying dust like she's a gangster. She was out of her fucking mind. So she told me the do's and the don'ts and how to fucking maneuver. But she wasn't around, and I wanted to smoke. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to take the A train all the way into Harlem. I got on the train. It was like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night. I get there, it's like fucking midnight 30, and I'm in this place on like a Friday night.
What year is this, Jimmy?
93.
So at that point, Harlem looked like Beirut.
Oh, it was burnt out buildings. It was like New Jack City. It was bad, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you like lived through the real life Judgment Night without anyone chasing you.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I had my like a Carhartt hoodie, and I had my hood up. I always wear a Yankee hat, the basic navy blue white symbol, regular basic Yankee hat, really tight low, really super low brim. Put my hoodie on, had my baggy fucking Carhartt or Tommy Hilfiger fucking carpenter jeans and my Timberland boots, and I would just try to blend in as much as I can, but. And nothing ever happened, and I don't know how.
Got some Q-tip on your fucking Walkman.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, 100%.
That is.
Yeah, I think I was listening to like the first. What was that? It was around that time. No, see, like the first Mobb Deep wasn't out yet. That was 95. It might have been like the first Wu-Tang.
There you go.
Yeah, that is some fucking. That really is some Judgment Night, New Jack City shit.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, Jimmy could have walked right by
little...
Pookie, never would have known. Walk right by Pookie, never would have known.
Right, but that's only like one story. You know what I mean? That's like one little thing. Like, that takes like a page and a half. You know what I mean? It's like, and then we went back and blah 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 blah. You know. But then there's other things where I'll be laughing, and then certain things are like whatever, not really filler, but you have to include this in order to get to this part. But then, like, bro, it's fucked up, man. I was already thrown out of the Air Force, and it was like 1990, the end of 98 going into 99, and I was like 24 years old, And obviously, I know right from fucking wrong. I'm a fucking grown man, technically, at 24 years old. And I'm living with my ex-girlfriend. She has, well, we'll get to the names for a little bit, in a little bit. But I, I, I really, at the time, like, I really cared about her. Like, I loved this girl. And I was the biggest piece of shit. I'm cheating on her. I'm cheating on her with a married woman who I know who her husband is. He used to come into the store that I work in. I like all this stuff. And what's really fucked up is that A, I cared about her, and B, she was the only one before or even after that I cheated on like that. Like, because I'm not a cheating scumbag. Like, if I'm single and I'm whatever, then that's whatever. But if I'm in a relationship, I'm not cheating on you. I lived. I lived with her. That was the first apartment that I ever had with anybody. Was me and her, and I was cheating on her left and right with this fucking same woman. And I don't know why. Yeah, it was full. Well, it was also, I do know why, because my mentality at the time, I was drinking like an animal. I was eating ecstasy like they were fucking Tic Tacs. We were both fucking drinking and shit. But it was my mentality. I was sport fucking. You know what I mean? It was party time. It was whatever. The whole sneaky part of it, the risky part was like added to the excitement to it and all that stuff. But I felt like a piece of shit anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because this girl was a really good girl. You know what I mean? Until she confessed to me one night that she was on acid, that she made out with some dude. Then it was all over. I was fucking everybody. But as I wrote all that stuff, like I sat down, like as I was writing it, I was like, wow, man. I was like, that was a real fucking piece of shit move. Like I really cared about her. Like I was a real fucking asshole. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that stuff when I was like in my teens and early 20s and stuff that I don't even like know who that person is. It's almost like it's a different life ago. Like I'm so far removed from that whole mentality of all of that stuff. It's like a movie in my head. It's weird, you know, especially going through sometimes second by second going through certain things. It's fucking crazy, dude.
So
I'll tell you the truth. I'm not in about 2 years from where I am right now in the book. I'm not looking forward to what goes down. It's going to be bad, but I mean,
let me ask you this: like,
yeah, I'm babbling, man. It's me fucking.
No. You're
This
good.
is actually quite entertaining.
It's very good. No, but like being almost 10 years sober, when you look back at them times, are you like, dude, I could never fucking do that again? Like, you have to be at a point now where you're like, that has to make you sick, even thinking about doing dust or.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Fuck up, bro. No way. I'm scared, bro.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like this, like there's guys I work with. Most of them, they all smoke weed. They don't smoke at the job, but I know they all smoke pot. They'll have like a bag of like this crazy shit that these kids smoke now. And like, yo, here, smell it. And I'll smell it. I'll be like, fuck you. Like, there is no way I would ever fucking smoke a joint. Like, I would fucking have a heart attack. Plus, I have so much clean time under my belt and everything is great in my life because of that if I smoked, I would feel like such a fucking piece of shit.
Right, wasted all that time.
My high would be ruined. I would want it to end. I would feel guilty. I would feel like a piece of shit, and it would be bad. There's nothing appealing to me about it. Listen, I fucking drank. I had 2 major fucking surgeries on my fucking stomach from drinking, dude. I had acute pancreatitis at 19. It doesn't happen when you're 19. That's people who have long lives of chronic alcohol abuse will get it. I was 19 when I got it. And then 2001, I wound up back in the hospital because of that surgery. It's like I went to get my staples taken out of my stomach in 2001, hammered. The doctor is like, dude, you're 19 years old. What are you doing? You're a young guy.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck. I signed myself out of the hospital after 9 days against doctor's orders.
AMA.
Both times. Stay home from work. Do not drink alcohol. Don't lift anything heavy. I went back to my apartment. I forgot. I had like a 60-pound bag of fucking laundry that I had to go drop off. I put it on my fucking shoulder. I walk downstairs. I drop it off. I stop. I get 2 6-packs of Heinekens. I just got out of the hospital an hour before. I'm sitting on my couch rolling a joint and drinking a dozen beers with internal, God only knows how many internal fucking stitches and staples down my gut.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's a fucking problem. I mean, it was bad, dude. And I think about that. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? You know what it was? I was on a legit self-destructive fucking crash course. And for a long time, I didn't care. I used to get knocked down, drag out fucking fights with my ex-girlfriend, the one that I cheated on. And I remember the first time that I met up with her after I picked her up from the bagel store that I worked in. And I called her up. This was before like cell phones were even like a big thing. I put quarters in the fucking payphone and I called her. I'm like, "Yo, what are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm painting my toenails." I'm like, "Oh, I'm over here at La Mia Via Cafe on the corner of fucking West Street and Avenue U. You want to come and have a couple of beers?" Sure. Next thing you know, she's in there. And that was the first time we hung out. We drank beers, this and that, the other thing. Fast forward maybe like a month and a half later, because we're going to hotel rooms every single day, blowing money every day, because she still lived with her parents. I was living with my sister at the time because I had gotten thrown out of the Air Force. So I was sleeping in my sister's apartment. So neither of us had our own spot. I'm like, "Yo, let's get an apartment together." So that's where we got the apartment together. But I would get into crazy arguments with her. And my whole fucking sick mentality would be like, because she would be like, "Oh, you're drinking too much." And we would get into arguments about my drinking. And I would tell her, I was like, "Go fuck yourself because you met me in a bar. What did you expect?" But that's not normal. Everyone meets people in a bar. But you don't have to be a fucking lush bag fucking alcoholic every day of the week or 24/7. But that's what I was. But my fucking sick rationalization was, you met me in a fucking bar. What do you expect? I told her, I was like, "I'll fucking die going on a fucking bender. And I don't give a fuck." And I meant that shit in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's everybody has a dark part of their life. A lot of people.
That wasn't even the dark part.
Well, a lot of people go through what you were.
That was like tame shit before things fucking really went off the rails.
Right. But my point being is, everyone who can make it through those bottoms, the troughs, and come out on the other side and be able to get to the point where you can actually look back and say, "I was a fucking animal. I don't know why I did that. I would never do that again." And I wish I could apologize to every single person I kind of rubbed the wrong way during that. I mean, lucky, right? You're lucky in that regard, is the sense that you've gotten the distance and you survived long enough to turn around and say, "Yeah, that was a different me. I don't like that person. I don't ever want."
That person is a jerk off. Like that person, I would go back and slap the shit out of myself. I would. I deserve to get punched in the face a hell of a lot more than I ever did. Facts, 100%. But you know what? It came to me in a dream, Colin. Anyway, I'm fucking not sick in the head. But I feel like the title of the book is perfect, and it came to me almost instantly, because to go through, and I'm not fucking tooting my own horn or fucking jerking myself off over it, but in order for me to have, I mean, the death of my mother and all that stuff, and then the shit that I did, the Air Force, the girlfriends, the fucking drugs, the booze, the hospitals, the fucking surgery, all the rehabs, all that shit, for me to be able to walk out of there relatively unscathed is perfect. So the name of the book is Relatively Unscathed. But I need I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to need like a subtitle. Not like The Life and Times of Jimmy Ferrari, but something along those lines. Something Relatively Unscathed, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Life and Times of a Brooklyn Jerk Off. I don't know. Whatever. Something.
It might work, actually.
It might fucking work.
I'm sure
I'm not sure of, but yeah, man, it's I got super fucking lucky, and I realized that there's a lot of shit in my life that I got really fucking lucky. And it sounds cheesy and shit, like inspirational quote jerk off stuff, but I'm grateful for a lot of shit. I really am, because everyone has heard the horror stories. Like, I am super cool with my ex-wife. I have an awesome relationship with her. I have an amazing relationship with my child. Like, me and her are fucking sidekicks. Like, she's the best. And, you know, I'm responsible. I have a good job. I pay my own way. I don't ask nobody for nothing. I don't bother nobody. I go on fucking trips. By myself. I don't ask. I go. You know what? Like 3 weeks ago, I'm friends with my drill instructor from the Air Force. A whole different fucking topic, which is just fucking weird, but it's awesome. 3 weeks ago, I went down to San Antonio, Texas, on a whim because he was like, "Yo, man, you should come down here and come back to Lackland, the base where I went to boot camp." I was like, "Yeah, but I got in trouble. I got thrown out. Uncle Sam gave me the fucking boot. I can't get on that base." He's like, "Well, I guess I'm going to have to be your escort." So I went down 27 years later and walked around the same fucking boot camp grounds 27 years later with my drill instructor, who's my friend. And I had gotten in trouble the day I graduated boot camp, go figure. And my ex-girlfriend, my sister, and my mother flew down to San Antonio to watch me graduate. And everybody who graduates, you get an 8-hour town pass where you can get off the base and spend time with your family and everything. My mother was fucking cool because my mother was like, if you didn't fuck up, we had a hotel room, I would leave you alone with you and your girlfriend because I know you haven't been laid in fucking 3 months. Like, my mother was fucking cool as shit. My mother was the fucking best, bro. So I'm like, I know, I'm pissed. So, but we had 4 hours of base liberty, and I never got to go on that town pass. So 3 weeks ago, like, I had her in my head that I did that. You know what I mean? So I walked down the San Antonio River Walk where everyone went. I went to the fucking stupid Alamo and shit like that, where you would have went. So it was kind of really cool that I had the opportunity and the funds and the job where I'm able to do these things and fly down on a week's notice and get myself a fucking hotel room and a fucking rental car and buy a bunch of shit while I'm down there and do something like that. And it's all basically because I'm sober. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, I've been doing shit like that. And I'm on, because of this book, I'm on this whole nostalgia, I'm getting old, relive my childhood, teenage years shit, but in a different light as like the wise old get off my lawn old man.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So I've been doing like a lot of that kind of shit, and it's all because I'm sober, and this whole book process is making me go into directions that I never thought I would ever revisit or even go to or anything like that. So, like, everything over here is fucking cool and positive, dude.
I gotta say, following third party through the updates you put on Facebook and stuff, all your stories are fucking great. All the stories are great. So it's like and the fact that you post them out of time, right? So it's not like we're getting the story. It's you're bouncing all over the place.
I do bounce because
it's enjoyable.
Yeah, because I'm the picture guy, so like I'll go into my archives. Like, I know that, like, when I was writing through the air, which is another thing. I'm friends with my drill instructor, so boot camp is designed and built to be confusing and hectic, especially the first week. You're supposed to not know your ass from your elbow when you first get to boot camp. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I remember shit like crazy. But I'll be a little bit foggy about a couple of things here and there. And what do? I pick up my phone and I call my fucking drill instructor.
DI, like, hey, do you remember this? Yeah.
Who was a drill instructor for 7 years and who did this repetitively like crazy. And I'm jogging his memory. He's like, damn, dude. It's like, I have a thing. He's like, you remember that? It's like, I'm hardly remembering that. So we're refreshing each other's memory. But something like that took a long time to do, because when it comes to boot camp in the military, I don't know who's going to wind up reading this thing or anything, but I need that stuff to be accurate,
precise as you can get.
Terminology and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But then there's other stuff where I'm calling people jerk offs and I'm smoking dust and I'm snorting cocaine and I'm getting into a bar brawl and shit like that, which is whatever, knucklehead shit. But then there's certain things that are time consuming like that. But
did you interview that drill instructor? I can't remember.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
Yeah, he was a bonus episode. I don't even know. But yeah, it's
I'm gonna go back and listen to it. Yeah.
oh, it's that was one of my favorite episodes to do because it was such a personal thing. And like the first time I'm seeing him like on a screen since I saw him in person in 1996. You know what I mean? I was just like,
It's
well, this
wild.
is fucking weird, you know? And I told him the whole story about how I got thrown out and shit like that. And he was like, well, man, he's like, I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason. I even told him, I'm like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I retired. I'm like this fucking proper fucking, you know, airman fucking military guy because I was a knucklehead idiot and got in trouble. I'm a flag waving motherfucker, but I was just a bad troop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he respects that, and I'm upfront and honest about it. I'm like, listen, I was a stupid fucking knucklehead from Brooklyn who thought my shit didn't stink, and I didn't think anything would happen to me, and I was a wise ass and a big mouth, and I was a
Mhm.
drunk kid. What happened, Tim? What happened to Tim?
I don't know. He yeah, let's step away for a minute. So Jimmy, let's talk about the podcast, the Brooklyn Blast Furnace. So you're unretiring it.
I'm unretiring it, and the reason why I'm unretiring it is partially. Well, first, I said that before I went on this fucking hour-long tangent that I didn't miss doing it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I missed like. Did you hear any of that?
No, I had to run and grab something.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
Oh no, it's fine. So he asked me about the Brooklyn Blast Furnace. I'm
Oh,
unretiring.
okay.
So first, like I said earlier, like I did miss it. You know what I mean? Like because as you both know, and whoever might have been listening to it, whoever's listening or watching this, is I did it was a lot, it was very heavily music based. And then I started doing whatever the fuck I wanted to because it was my podcast and fuck you if you listen or not. So I had like actors and actresses and graffiti writers and rappers and all the shit. So I miss doing all of that kind of stuff. And I was talking with Pat, my editor. He was like, why don't you just bring back the podcast? I'm like, I don't know. And he was just like, it could be good. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, if you have people that listen to the podcast, I'm not saying that it'll make
It's
you
a built-in market. Yeah.
it's already there that might be that people who already listen to the podcast that I did about my life, and every once in a while I bring up this book. Maybe people will be more interested in fucking you get a bigger following and maybe you sell a couple of books. I'm like, well, I guess that might help, but I kind of just miss doing it anyway.
Right.
So maybe I could just do both. And what I can do is maybe I can, not every episode, obviously, but maybe I can have people on that actually wrote a book, whatever that book might be. Like Tim just hooked me up with the one that I had him on the podcast early, like a couple of years back with Danny Marianino, the guy who knocked out Glenn Danzig. But he has books out. He has like 5 books out. One is called Never Punch a Rock Star, and it's just it's a giant book filled with hate mail and death threats, and he made a joke out of it, and it's hilarious. And people are nuts because they suck fucking Glenn Danzig's dick. And so he wrote a book out of it, and it's a funny joke book. But he did that. And then there's another book that he has. It's called It Blows My Mind. And he just complains about things that he hates about it. And he has a character named Carmine in it. And it's a fucking ridiculous book. But he wrote a book. I had a guy, Michael Klein. He was a photographer. He did a bunch of agnostic front photos that I happened to be in on an agnostic front album on the Last Warning record. Turns out, because I got in touch with him, and I was like, yo, do you happen to have this certain picture that was just me and Roger on that whole layout? He's like, man, he's like, back then, he's like, I lost everything to my heroin addiction. I'm like, really? And then he wrote a book called New York City Junkie Days. I fucking bought his book. I ripped through that shit in like 2 days. It was incredible. And it was a lot of it was like our drugs of choice weren't the same and we didn't grow up the same way, but there's a lot of parallels in
A lot
our
of symmetry.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I had him on. So that was cool to fucking knock things back. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the next episode is not going to have anything to do with the book. You know what I mean? But, so that's another reason why I brought it back. Plus, it also gives me something else to do that I never have time to do anyway because
welcome to the club. Who you
I
talking
fill
to?
my fucking calendar constantly, dude. It's like either doing double shifts at work, like I got to go to work tomorrow extra early, this and that, But it's you know what though? What's the alternative? I would feel guilty if I wasn't talking to you guys and I wasn't writing because sometimes I don't have the head to write. And I won't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to try to force shit. Sometimes I'll rip through 15 pages in a sitting, and then sometimes I'll write 2 sentences. I'm just
like, I'm done. Yeah.
Like, I don't have the mental, whatever reason. I'm tired, this, that. I have other things going on, whatever. But I would feel like shit if I wasn't writing and I'm just like laying in bed, like watching fucking Netflix or whatever. Like,
right. I'm not.
I feel like I need to be doing something.
Yeah, I'm not adding value to my life. What am I doing?
Right.
Dude, I'm kind of the same way. I've reached that point now where there's times where I'll be sitting here and I'll be staring at my phone and I'll get mad at myself and go, get rid of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Dude,
like I could be typing, I could be reading. I've got all these fucking books I got to finish. Like, what the fuck am I doing myself?
Yeah.
Jay, it's crazy, dude, that you said that because the last like week I've been doing the same thing. Like I'm on my phone, like scrolling through Instagram. Like, the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I'll just like put it away. Like, get this shit out of here, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've
started leaving it in another
dude.
room. I actually put it in the office when I come up out from my desk, and when she goes to bed, I got a end table next to my chair full of books, and I grab whatever one I'm working on, and because I'm like, it's fucking scrolling at that thing. It just makes you dumber.
Yeah,
it just makes you dumber.
It's a waste of fucking time.
Yeah,
it's a waste of time. Like I have
good comes from it.
Yeah, it's like I run this the podcast Instagram for the Delta Bravo stuff. I run that, but I'm never on. I only post when I put out an episode. That's all I ever do. It's basically I have access to it, but it's basically inactive. I run the actual Delta Bravo group, which I'll repost other people's stuff and my own stuff I'll post there. But then I never really had a personal Instagram page. So the closest thing that is a personal Instagram page is the book page, which it's Instagram. It's at Relatively Unscathed. RelativelyUnscathed. Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Yeah.
So what I did was, as you guys already know, that the Blast Furnace Instagram was hacked 2 years ago plus. I still do not have access to that. So I'm like, I'm not creating another fucking Instagram page because I'm going to have to be fielding the dumb questions. Oh, you have is it this one? Is it that one? No, it's not this one. It's this. I don't have time for that shit. Yeah. That just gives me more time on my phone answering dumb questions.
Yep.
Fuck that. So what I did was I combined the Relatively Unscathed page. It's the book page and the Brooklyn Blast Furnace page. That's what it is. And that's the most personal page that I have because I post pictures of like my mother and I post pictures of me when I was younger and I post pictures of this and that. And I tell whatever stories briefly of what's going on. And it's all book related, which obviously has to do with me, friends, family, and this and that. I introduce like there'll be like a thing where you scroll 5 or 6 pictures and it's like my friend Tommy, is in the book a lot. I met him in 7th grade. So meet Tommy Mitchell, blah, 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 blah. So that eventually when the book comes out and you follow the page, I know that now there's a face to a name. You know what I mean? Like that's the reason why I did that stuff. So, yeah. So,
and the thing about your podcast is whether you want to hear it or not is like you're good at doing it because you just come on and you just bullshit. See, there's a lot of
I don't know how or why either.
But there's a lot of podcasts right now that come on and they're like reading from the fucking page.
Oh my God, I don't do any of that.
Teleprompter and
they ask
I don't write anything down.
They ask every guest the same 5 questions. I swear, Jimmy, not to toot your horn, the best interview you did was Mike Judge at the diner because that literally sounded like I was listening a booth over to.
You hear the waitress coming over. I ordered my food with her and everything.
It felt like I was listening to 2 dudes over on another table have a conversation. And you could tell it wasn't scripted. It was truly conversational.
I was sitting there eating a burger with Mike Judge.
You got him talking, and all of a sudden he was just going. And those, it really is a skill that a lot of people struggle with. And Tim and I, we're not throwing shade or spilling tea on anybody, but there are some other podcasts out there where we listen and we're like, this is kind of rough. I know what question he's going to ask. He's going to ask about the house, and he's going to ask about the siblings, and he's going to ask about what music his parents listen to. And it's like, It's not just not fun. No offense, it's just not fun.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's
I
not.
get it. I get it. That's why it's like I did an episode with Paris Mayhew from the Cro-Mags, and he has his new instrumental band, the Agros and shit. I never had him on. I'm like, oh, that would be kind of cool because there's other things besides being a founding member of the Cro-Mags. Like if you listen to that, I don't even bring up the Cro-Mags in that episode. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I dug a little bit, and I found out that his father was a gigantic, insane collector of John F. Kennedy stuff. So I'm like, I was at Dealey Plaza. Like I've been there and I love that whole conspiracy theory. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to start out with, oh, so how'd you meet John Joseph and how'd you make the Cro-Mag? Fuck that. I'm like, yo, I want to fucking ask you about your father. You know what I mean? So because it's interesting to me, and he started talking about that stuff, which I'm sure I highly doubt that anyone has ever went into detail about his dad and his JFK collection. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about the shit that everyone knows I'm going to talk about. You know, I
But the
think
problem is it's been done already. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like how many times are you going to talk about the age of quarrel?
Yeah, it's kind of like I was telling Jay, like I had the opportunity to have Jeff from Cold as Life on. I'm like, he's already done 5 podcasts. Why do it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no point.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
so I get it.
And then there's times where we've had people on where we barely even talk about the music they're doing, and the episode ends and they go, hey, thanks guys, that was a really fun conversation. I really felt like we were just bullshitting and not, tell me about the new album, where did the title come from, what was it like working with such and such.
No, it's like they're bored with that stuff. It's like, oh yeah, the same.
Just read the interview on the internet or listen to, and especially when you know that artists have an album coming out and they're doing the PR circuit. Right. And I know that Tim and I will interview them, and then somebody else will, and then somebody else will, and somebody else will. Yep. You got to find a way to keep it interesting because people, why would they pay attention to us when they can pay attention to somebody else?
Right. I do the same thing though. I don't want to talk about the elephant in the room. I want to talk about something completely fucking different. There's a few episodes that I did back that the guests, like even like when we stopped, like, wow, like thank you so much. Like there's an actress, she was like the survivor, the girl who survived in Friday the 13th, Part 5. Her name is Melanie Kinnaman. She's a fucking sweetheart. And I hardly spoke about Friday the 13th with her. You know what I mean? I spoke about these weird movies that she was like, wow, like, you know about that movie? But she was like, wow, she's like, thank you for not like talking just about Friday the 13th, like at all. I'm like, yeah, I was like, because why would I? I mean, obviously you're known, because you're known for that. That doesn't mean that we have to beat a dead horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a few like Darcy DeMoss. She was in that movie Can't Buy Me Love. She was in Friday the 13th, 6, this and that. I fucking had her on. We were bullshitting like we knew each other our whole life. I hardly spoke about Friday the 13th. After I stopped recording, she was like, hold on, I want to talk to you more. She got a glass of wine. We're bullshitting for like an hour. Not even on fucking recording. It was just cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's and speaking of bullshit cinema, shout out to Sam Hoyos. Fucking Tubi is the greatest thing.
Shout out to Sam Hoyos because I go to that kid's profile, whatever he posts, and I take his advice and watch and listen to whatever he fucking does. And I'm all in. Like, he's like my gauge if something sucks or something's good. He really is. I'm like, you know what? Oh, he recommends this? I'm on it. I'm like, yo, that shit was fucking bananas.
Yeah, when he says something's good, he's usually pretty good. He's usually pretty spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But I mean, the trash cinema that the younger kids that listen to the show, they don't realize that what VHS and HBO did in the 80s is they had such a demand for movies that these backwards canon, Carolco, Golan Globus, they were banging out these fucking movies left and right of questionable quality. And I literally, this past weekend, the wife was away. It was shitty weather. I spent all weekend watching trash cinema, and
of course, a bunch of canon movies.
Oh, it was Avenging Force. It was Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. It was Free Jack with fucking Mick Jagger and Emilio Estevez and Rene Russo and Buster.
Enter the Dragon with Shokazugi and shit.
Oh, just terrible movies. But you know what? I fucking enjoyed the whole time.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a movie right here you need to watch. Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage.
Just came out.
A24. It was fucking awesome.
I gotta watch it. What is it on?
I downloaded it, so I don't know, but
I'll
it's
look
an
it up. I'll find it.
it's an A24 movie, so it'll be on Showtime or Paramount soon. But dude, it was fucking great, man.
Yeah. All right. I'm in.
And
I'm in.
Nick Cage is great, dude.
Nick Cage is a fucking psychopath.
I always say if reincarnation is real and we get to choose who we come back as, my two
What?
choices are Fred Durst and Nick Cage.
Why?
Like, I want to come back. I want to come back as fucking Nicolas Cage, man. I really do. Like, and
God.
you were talking about a lunatic. Somebody interviewed him and said in an interview they said, you do all these movies. You do like a dozen movies a year. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And he straight up, he was like, look, my job is an actor. My job is to act. I'm not going to sit around and wait for the perfect movie to come to me. I'm going to act in the stuff that I find interesting.
Yeah.
And God fucking bless him, man. He's not sitting around in some Hollywood Hills mansion saying, "Oh, well, this isn't arty enough."
Yeah, exactly.
He's
a
just
fucking nut job.
He's out doing it.
Bro, I saw it somewhere. Some all these ridiculous groups and shit, like graves and famous graves and shit. That he someone posted his mausoleum, that he's gonna eventually
the one that's shaped like the pyramid, right?
Isn't it? It's a white pyramid. Yeah.
New Orleans, Jimmy? Is it New Orleans?
I think it might be New Orleans. Yeah. Didn't he name his son Kal-El fucking Superman?
Yes.
That guy is batshit crazy and awesome.
Yeah. Tell me you wouldn't want to hang out with him though, and just have a beer or two and just pick his brain. Pick his brain.
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. 8mm is one of the best movies ever.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and I need to revisit it.
Schumacher ruined it because it should have been way darker. If you read, the same guy who wrote 8mm is the guy who wrote 7. It's Andrew Kevin Walker. And it should have been 10,000 times darker. And he tried to make it to like a Hollywood popcorn movie. And it should have been closer to Jimmy. You remember Hardcore with George C. Scott, where his daughter disappears and she ends up doing porn. It's not trash cinema. It's old 70s movie. Same kind of vein. It was really dark. That's what 8mm should have been.
You say George C. Scott. I think The Changeling and
Patton. Yep.
And Patton.
Yep. Wasn't he also the bad guy in the original Firestarter? Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Drew Barrymore as a little kid.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Jimmy Ferrari to be walking through downtown New York somewhere and find his next podcast guest. Lisa Ann lives in New York somewhere. So I'm waiting for Jimmy to come around the corner and be like, yo, Lisa Ann, what are you doing? You got to come on my show. Talk sports the whole time. Talk sports the whole time. She would be totally down for it.
Yeah. There's a couple of people that I have lined up. There's one person that he's not allowed. Not that he's not allowed, but there's things going on. It's going to be fucking shit show. I'll say it, but I'm going to wind up recording it. I believe in sometime in February. I'm going to have, his name is Carl Denaro. And he was shot in the head and survived the Son of Sam.
Oh wow!
Oh,
holy shit!
Yeah, I bought his book. It's called The Son of Sam and Me. Bro.
Jesus,
bro, and he's huge. I don't know if you guys watched the whole Sons of Sam thing on Netflix.
Yeah,
but he's 100% he did not act alone. The person that shot him was a female. He knows that. All this fucking shit. But he still has correspondence with David Berkowitz in prison. And David is
he's still alive?
Yeah. He's in Sullivan County. He's like a 2.5-hour drive from me. I want to go visit him. I want to have him on the podcast. Right? So, but he was telling me in not so many words, Carl, that there's stuff that's always going on because of that Netflix thing, that it kind of fucking ruffled a bunch of people's feathers who have been not fucking known and shit like that he has to be careful. Carl Denaro has to be careful this many years later, 40 years later, after he survived getting shot in the fucking head.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I know we're running out of time, but Jimmy, there's I'll send you the title of the book that I picked up. I am 100% convinced that all of those serial killers, most of them were not acting alone.
Right.
Almost 90% of them were patsies, right? Even Manson, when you read the book Chaos, which talks about the whole Helter Skelter, the whole Manson trial, Bugliosi manufactured that guilty verdict.
Of course.
It is.
Helter Skelter is like a work of fiction. It's bullshit.
Oh yeah, put on your tinfoil hat, people, because it is.
It's not even tinfoil hat if you actually think past the mass fucking marketed media fucking driven Helter Skelter in the movie and all that. If you could just fucking take your blinders off for a second and put some time into researching other things, you'll see that it's like he was
a whacked out druggie from Southern California.
He was another one that has no shoes on, and he fucking and he has no shoes. He's like 5'4", and you're giving this guy way too much fucking credit.
Yes.
Oh, that's another thing, real quick. Well, you want to talk about Manson 1 second? My last road trip, right? We started out, we went to Maryland, then we went down through the Carolinas, then we passed through Georgia, then we went up through Kentucky. And it was the first time I was ever in Kentucky. And Kentucky and West Virginia might as well be the same fucking shit because it's some real hillbilly shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I want to say it's Mousy or Mousy. It's Mousie, Kentucky. And there's a place called the Blue Moon Saloon. And it's still there, but it's completely abandoned. And back in the 20s and the 30s, it was a bar and grill that used to cater to all the coal miners and shit in the area. But on the second floor, it was a 24/7 brothel. It was a hoe house, right? But way back when Charlie Manson was a toddler, like 2 or 3 years old, his mother, Kathleen Maddox, was a hooker. Yeah. He lived for a brief time on the second floor of that structure. I pulled over there. You could walk right in it. It's on the side of the road and it's still standing. It's all dilapidated and shit. There's like graffiti and shit written in. There's like matches. I don't know. People are fucking in there. I don't know. But it's in the middle of nowhere, fucking Kentucky. So I went upstairs and I was in like what would be the living room. And I got like a 5-gallon bucket and I turned it upside down. And I stood up on top of it and there was like the sheetrock was fucked up. There was like a hole in the sheetrock. So I grabbed and I pulled and broke off like a wooden slat from the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
And I have it hanging on my living room wall. I have a piece of Charles Manson's childhood home in my house.
Dude, that whole story. Yeah, we can't go down that rabbit hole because we're here for another.
Oh, we can do a whole fucking thing about that shit. I have weird shit in my house, bro, from these road trips. Grave dirt. Whitey Bulger grave dirt, fucking pieces of the Branch Davidian compound. But real quick, I have one of my most prized possessions. I have a 22-inch piece of the original, wooden picket fence from the grassy knoll, where they killed the fucking president. Because everywhere I go, I always try to take like a little piece of something. I don't want to destroy anything or anything. Right. So I saw it because it's old and it's like a little frayed, the wood. So I wanted to pull off maybe like the size of like an ice cream popsicle stick size or whatever, bro. So I fucking pulled it and there was 2 nails, like there's slats or whatever, and it broke like halfway off. I'm like, fuck. Like I didn't want to throw the whole thing away, but I didn't want to take a piece and throw the rest away. So there I am, jerk off Jimmy with a fucking 22-inch piece of wood down my shorts, limping through fucking Dealey Plaza with a piece of the grassy knoll. But I got like a whole fucking like a custom made shadow box. It's on my living room wall with a little plaque on it.
That's awesome. All right, Jimmy. People who are listening, they want to follow along with the story. They want to be abreast of the book when it's coming out. Where do they go?
On Facebook, there's a group called It's Relatively Unscathed, and it's a group in parentheses. There's also a fan page which I don't really use, but it's also there. On Instagram, it's Relatively Unscathed. If you go to the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast group, like I'll post there's links for the book group there. That's just the Brooklyn Blast Furnace podcast. The link in the bio of the Instagram page, Relatively Unscathed, there's a link tree. You click on that. You can find everything book related. Even there is the podcast where you can find the podcast on every platform and all the fucking blah, blah, blah. From the Spotify to YouTube to everything.
Awesome.
So,
awesome shit, man.
Just type in Relatively Unscathed book on Google and you'll fucking find it. But yeah,
Okay.
I post personal shit. Some of it's embarrassing, some of it's funny. I don't give a shit. It's all going to be written in even further detail in the book. So what do I give a fuck if
Right.
it's a
If
little
anything, it's
blurb on fucking Facebook? I don't care.
right. It's an easy teaser. All right. Well, we want to thank Jimmy for coming on again. It's great. We could easily go another 2 fucking hours, but eventually,
We can, bro. This is like over an hour, almost an hour and a half.
we have to go to work tomorrow. So we want to thank
Yes.
Jimmy for coming on. I want to thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, tuning in once again. Find us Newbury_podcast, Instagram and Twitter, newburypodcast@gmail.com for your likes, listens, complaints, concerns, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll delete them. 267-297-4627. Leave a voicemail. We'll play it on the air. Until next week. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks.